For those of you who don't know, curators with PICA, Portland Institute for Contemporary Art, and the Time-Based Art Festival. And this is, let's see, this is we're probably 5 days out from a 3-week festival. So we're almost done. This is our final Friday night. Yeah. And what a nice way to spend it. So if you are watching and have questions as an audience member, I can choose some to respond to. But until that gets going, I'll start us off, if that sounds okay to you. Okay, great. So some audiences might remember your performance at TBA last year, which was a performance at a space called the Lumber Room that Sarah Miller-Miggs and Libby Werbel curated as part of TBA, and they have also supported this presentation tonight, which is wonderful. So we want to thank Sarah and Libby, and they introduced us to your work, which we're so happy about. And other audiences this might be new, your work might be new to them, or you might have people tuning in from other places. So I wonder if we could start by, there's such a rich story that is going on here, and this is one small part of it. And there's so much symbolism, there are so many references, so many layers. I wonder if you could just give us a peek into this story and what we're glimpsing with this video.
So La Luz de la Esperanza is a melodrama, a telenovela that starts out very typical, just like any fairy tale, just like any telenovela. It starts off with, especially growing up, I grew up with Mexican telenovelas, and the theme was always this rich and poor. Dolores, who's the main character, she starts off, poor, and then Salvador, who is the man in this story, he's like a wealthy type, and he takes her from her humble beginnings and into this lavish life, and in telenovelas there's a struggle before they ever get to be married, and in this telenovela I wanted that to come early, so that then the problems actually arise after marriage, where she realizes that actually her man is abusive and actually doesn't care about her or her feelings. And in the moments that she's the most in despair, she has an apparition from an angel light figure source called Esperanza, and this light source has no gender, and that's when she feels the most happy. The most happiness is when this apparition comes to her, and she actually starts to fall in love with this thing that she can't describe, and that in the end drives her crazy, and starts her real problems in her marriage, where she's unfaithful, but also doesn't understand this other being that she can't get married to this being, and ends up by going crazy and having an exorcism, of course. But she ends up where she started, which is from humble beginnings and in the fields that she first started with.
So it makes me think about the ways that these sorts of different kinds of conventional narratives from different traditions, from different cultures, can become subverted or queered through imagery, through sound and music, and the ways that different forms can collapse, the ways that that gender and bodies are portrayed, all of these things. I feel like a lot of that is going on in your work, and in this video kind of encapsulates a lot of that. So I'm wondering how, the work is so visually rich. How do you think about the representation of the stories and ideas through costume, through imagery, through objects? I feel like I could watch it again and again and there would be so much detail that comes, you know, to life every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So like the parts where Dolores is supposed to be poor, I was inspired by like my mom and my aunts growing up on the farm, and the way that they kind of romanticize how free they were in those days, and also how they talk about like making their own clothes and wearing like stilettos to get groceries and stuff like that. And even though they were poor, they every time they went into town, they would dress up. Like if they were going to a fancy event, you know, if they went to church, they were dressing up like that. And for me, I was like, okay, so her being modest is still her looking beautiful and still caring about her glamour and her heels and her hair and things like that. And so I wanted to start off that way, but also um, the like the scenes where she's more rich and things like that, we wanted to exaggerate, um, and wanted to like look kind of costumey, but also like um, yeah, for there to be like a huge difference. Um, and then as far as like imagery, like we used some of the imagery from the first show, um, like the light source. That was a gem that they like somehow filmed with lighting and stuff like that, and then manipulated into this like ethereal kind of thing. And we were able to use that from the original show. Um, but yeah, there's what else is there? Like the man in the story, like I wanted to accentuate his like lavish gold and jewelry to just make sure that you know that he is like this wealthy person, you know, like that he has something to offer Dolores, and like very typical like beauty, you know, he's a beautiful man, and it was almost like drag for both of us, you know.
Yeah.
um, like I'm very much playing up like this femininity that is desired and shown in telenovelas, and um, all of my husbands, in whenever I do these projects, they're always gay men,
Mhm.
but always very feminine gay men that would actually probably rather be wearing my dresses.
Yeah.
um, so that's always been important to me. And then trying to capture like the campiness of these melodramas of like overacting, um, you know, the sadness and overacting, like the exorcism, and the wedding ended up being like this ridiculous thing where none of us had a Bible and we had to use like a wallet as a Bible, and you know, and a person in like we didn't even have a priest outfit, but we kind of made it look priest-ish. Um, and a lot of things went wrong that day, but everything was so wrong but so right.
The campy quality really shines through, but it's such a like there's such a an awareness, like a critical awareness of how what camp references and how it functions, and this real blend of sort of like a consciousness of how the ways in which certain religious practices happen,
Mhm.
like that can be campy along with queer, you know, queer culture
Yeah.
and drag, and how all of those things come together, popular culture,
Mhm.
you know, underground culture. And I think of all of these different influences as they're coming together visually, but also you have so many musical influences and styles that
Mhm.
inform your practice as well. And I think, you know, audiences may or may not have familiarity with some of those, or to different degrees. But I was wondering if you could speak also to some of that, like sort of what are the traditions, or also maybe subversions of tradition that you draw on, or some of the different kind of cultures and scenes around certain forms of music that have influenced you?
Well, like the songs in the beginning, I was kind of basing off of ranchera music. So they, in the album, are a little more acoustic, with less instrumentation, but still in some way plugged in. So electric, a lot of like spacey sounds and stuff like that. But the way we did it for this show was, I asked Exene, the pianist and vocalist, to be a part of this with me, and to give the music another like more classical edge. I did have a little bit of classical training when I went to college and stuff like that. And I grew up in the church, so I grew up in the Catholic Church. So a lot of the music that we did when I was learning like classical ear training and musical theory and stuff like that was based on the church. So a lot of that, I think, came out, especially in this performance. And of course, in San Francisco, I was involved a lot with like the drag and punk scenes. So that also comes out a lot with like how dramatic I sing everything, with the ugly sounds that I sometimes like to make, the kind of screams, the taking it like as high as I can, and like also doing like very dramatic, like quieter pieces and stuff like that. So yeah, somehow everything has made its way into this piece of work.
So you mentioned San Francisco, but you're based in LA now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that your artistic practice has developed and been influenced by all of the places that you've lived, and connections to places, whether you live there or not. But I'm curious how you think of LA as sort of a landscape or presence or character. I certainly, being from California myself and having a lot of family in LA and living around LA, different
Mm-hmm.
parts of my life, I felt like I could see it as a backdrop, and also
Mm-hmm.
as a sort of there was a real strong sense of place in that regard. I don't know
Yeah.
if you were feeling that too in making the work.
Yeah, well, what I love the most about being in LA and what has inspired me the most is getting to know like my friends' families, because a lot of them like either recently moved out of their families' houses or are still living there, and I get to see like the queer aliens that my friends are in these families, and that they're still accepted and celebrated, and the ways that in that queer people actually bring a lot of like um, gender separation together, and how that magic happens with queer people, especially in these like Latinx like families that are also like very religious. Um, and so we ended up filming the performance piece at my friend's backyard, and her like older neighbor was watching us too from like the other side of the fence, and it was kind of this family affair. um, and to me, what was beautiful about her backyard is that she has like corn growing um, in concrete, like there's in the cracks of the concrete. And we filmed another video in her backyard earlier in the quarantine, and the corn was like up to my waist. And we filmed behind the corn, and this time we filmed in front of the corn in the other direction, because the corn was taller than me at this point.
Wow.
Um, and like the parts where I'm picking fruits and flowers, were all in her backyard, and trying to show like that urbanness, but also like um, um, kind of represent sustainability in these urban landscapes.
It makes me think of the like range of collaborators that you seem to have in your work, friends, kind of an expanded sort of chosen family of folks who are who clearly have so many gifts that contribute to the way that your work comes together, whether it's in performance or in a video like this or both. And I wonder if you wanted to share a little bit more about the collaborations on this project or in your practice in general. There's just so much talent there, you can tell, and a lot of love and attention to detail and skill, and it just all comes together really beautifully and powerfully.
So I've been filming throughout this quarantine with my partner, who's helped me there with the filming, and for this helped direct the whole video. And then we collaborated with Andrea Zarate, who did the editing and filmed the performance scenes. And one of our close friends, Danny, he lent us like all the backdrop kind of stuff, and helped film a couple of the drama insert scenes. And his hands actually were the ones on me and were there during the exorcism. We were like, we need some man hands for all of this. And my friend Olima actually makes all of my outfits, all of my custom. His name is Oscar Lima, but he goes by Olima. And me and him talk 5 times a day, FaceTime 5 times a day. And we're always thinking of what's next. And yeah, for anything that I need an outfit for, he's there.
You're lucky. Those are some incredible outfits. They're amazing.
He's even learned how to do makeup so that if we don't have a makeup person, he's the one doing my makeup. I don't know if he wants people to know that, but I'm going to let everybody know.
The makeup job is also always stunning, exactly. Whenever I've seen you. So.
And my friend Maria, I've worked with her on a couple of things outside of this. She works a lot in production and set design. And I always trust her vision with everything. And the spaces that she creates, just like naturally, like her own home, are so beautiful to use and already so symbolic. So that was, it's always beautiful to collaborate with her and use her spaces. Like that basket, she wove it that day. And the flowers that we put in the corn, her and my partner thought of that. And let's see, who else am I missing in this collaborative thing?
Can you remind me again how to pronounce your accompanist's name or your musical? Exene, yeah. They had a beautiful voice and
gorgeous
keyboard
voice.
Playing too, yeah.
And a beautiful pianist. I'd been wanting to collaborate with Exene for a long time, and when we were presented with this project, I was like, I think that there's nobody else I would want to do this with than her. And we probably practiced for a month, maybe had like 5 practices, but she was on it.
That was wonderful. We do have a question from the audience. So someone asks, I'm curious about the challenges of not having a live audience while developing work. Was it liberating to tell stories that way, or did you originally see this as a live piece?
It is a live piece, and we originally premiered it as a live piece. I'm enjoying the process of making videos. I am enjoying it a lot. I do, in some ways, miss the live audience, but it is liberating to not think about being in front of people directly, and really thinking about what my vision is and what all of my collaborators' visions are for the imagery and all the symbolism and stuff like that, and to put it in a like very careful package.
So another question is that I've been thinking about is, who do you make art and music for?
Myself. I am the kind of person that likes to listen to it over and over and over, and if I don't like it, then of course I think nobody else is gonna like it. And I make it for myself first, and then I want it to be accessible to, like, say my mother or my aunts, to my friends that also appreciate like the traditional music with like the kind of more punk aspects, and who would appreciate more of like the classical interpretations of everything.
Yeah, do you find that there's a pretty broad taste for your work because of the ways that you deviate from certain traditions and also bring them together?
Yeah, and I feel like different audiences like different things. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm only gonna sing.
And you released, I can't believe it was this long ago, but I think you had released something right after TBA last year, October.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I released the album for this, the music that we performed here, as a full album. I released it at the end of October.
Yeah, that's right. So that's out in the world too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that PICA, okay, there was one more question from the audience. Let me just see if I can decipher it, about the backyard scene. I enjoyed seeing the green screen that you did not use. Can you tell us about the decision to have that option of transporting the viewer anywhere, but choosing not to do so?
Can you repeat the question again?
They enjoy it seems like they noticed a green screen that didn't get used. Can you tell us about the decision to have had the green screen but not use it? Was there a green screen?
Well, the screens were both green. They look yellow, but they were both green. And some of the scenes that did make it on there from the original show were shot on green screen.
Okay.
So,
well, it feels like in whatever ways you used technology, low or high technologies, you really did transport us to many places in that video, and so much of it through visual design, like design and set.
And I guess I did have an idea to do just like a green screen, like everything changed behind me kind of thing. But I really wanted it to be outside. I wanted the live performance to be outside. And I wanted it to be a live performance. I didn't want to do recordings of the songs or lip sync. It's like, no, the live performance is not changing. That is what's going to happen, and everything else is going to happen around it.
Yeah. Well, we need that right now. Even if for the audiences in this format to know that it was a live performance, and that we're close to that, I think really makes a difference. Well, we can wrap it up, but there are several questions about the parrot, we're told.
Oh, let's bring her. Lola Bird.
Oh,
and this is my partner right here that also shot the video.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. This is Lola Bird.
I'm camera shy.
Hello.
Let me see. Come here, Lola.
Sure. Put her on you.
Thank you for your work on this film.
This is Lola Bird.
Beautiful.
She's not shy. She loves the camera. Look at her. Yes,
Gorgeous.
she used to live with the person that makes custom for me, Olima,
Uh-huh.
and then we adopted her from him.
Lola Bird. Well,
Yeah.
Lola Bird's probably a good place to end. So all the
Yes.
people who had questions about the parrot didn't expect to just get to see the parrot in your house right now on your arm. So
Yeah,
this is a special treat.
when we got her, a lot of her neck feathers were plucked out, and
And
she
her
was,
head.
and her head, and she was looking a little busted, and now she looks a lot better and a lot more camera ready.
Yeah, very photogenic.
Uh-huh.
Well, we want to thank you, Sancha, so much
Mhm.
for making this work with PICA and for TBA and the audiences.
Mhm.
I know feel the same. For doing it in these times, our goal remains that we want to work with you on
Mhm.
something live and big and epic
Yes.
scale, and that's still our intention. So,
Mhm.
audiences
I'm
out
excited
there,
for that.
I hope that you will keep following Sancha's work and PICA and know that we have more collaborations together in the future.
Mhm. I'm glad we got to work together still in this capacity, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
And so did Lola.
Fabulous. Great. Well,
Mhm.
please thank everyone who's been involved in making this possible.
Mhm.
We know what it takes these days to just show up, let alone put everything you've got into something. And
Mhm.
we're very appreciative. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. And if you want to rewatch the video or tell others, it's up through the 30th on picatv.org. And it's free. And if you choose to donate, half of our proceeds are going to a lot of really great organizations. So it's a good time to also pay if